Hello, welcome to my channel. It's Gemma here at Soap and Sew. I just thought I'd run through some equipment list basically for if you are thinking of starting your own wax melt business, just everything that you'll need to do that. So the first thing that you need to get is something to melt the wax. Now when I first started, all I used was a pan and a stainless steel jug. So what you do is you put the wax in the stainless steel jug, put a little bit of water in the pan, heat up the water, jug in the pan, it's just like a double boiler method, and then heat the wax to a required temperature. Now what I use is, bear with me, a massive cauldron if you like, with the tap. So obviously if you want to do really big batches, then you could get something like this. However, they are very expensive. So there is an alternative to that if you are wanting to do large batches. There's something called a buffalo soup kettle that I've seen a lot of wax vendors use, and also I've got one myself. I use that to make my candles, so that is a cheaper option. I think they're about £40 as opposed to, I think that was over £200. So yeah, definitely recommend a buffalo soup kettle if you are wanting to do large batches. Right, so the next thing you need is some wax. So I've got, it comes in lots of different forms. So this one that I'm using at the minute is in flaked form. You can get the pellets as well, which I prefer. I don't know why. I think I just like the shape of them. But yeah, you can get them in tubs as well, but they're really hard to break up, so I don't recommend buying the big tubs of wax. The next thing that you're going to need, so obviously when you've heated the wax to the correct temperature, you're going to then need to let it cool down a little bit. Depending on the type of wax that you're using, depends on the temperature you need to cool it down to. So once it's at the right temperature for adding fragrance oil, you're going to need to add fragrance oil. The maximum amount you can add is 10% of the weight of the wax that you're using. So yeah, in the UK we can't go any higher than that. I do tend to use 10% in the majority of my wax melts. However, some very, very strong fragrance oils, they're just so overpowering at 10%. I tend to use sort of 8% for those really strong oils. Some companies that you might want to look at for buying fragrance oils, so there's Craftivate, I've got quite a few from there. There's Supplies for Candles, I've got a few Scented Living fragrance oils as well. Fragrance Oil Direct apparently are really good, but I haven't tried them yet. Fragrance Oil Studio, no, the other way around. So I've tried Fragrance Oil Direct, they're really nice, but Fragrance Oil Studio apparently are really good as well from what I've seen, but I just haven't tried them yet. The next thing, so once you add your fragrance oil, you might want to add some colour. So I tend to use mica powders, they're really good. If I don't use mica powder, I tend to use the flaked pellets, so just pellets of colour, if you can see. But if I do use those, or if I use the liquid dye as well, so you can get liquid dye, I tend to put some white mica in as well, just to give it a nice shimmer. I know some people like to leave it all natural, and that's fine, but I like a bit of shimmer, so when they're melting they look really pretty. So I tend to put a bit of white in. So these are these massive packets you can get off Amazon. They're such good value for money because of the size of them, basically they're huge compared to quite a lot of the candle companies that you just get tiny little sachets. So if you can see the difference between these, yeah, so it's just a small packet compared to it was a big packet before I used any. The next thing, so you're going to need some what are these called? Molds. So you're going to need some silicone molds. So obviously these are just square, but I've got lots of different fun shapes like pigs and hearts and things like that. And then quite a lot of people like to use either glitter or botanicals to make them look pretty. So rosebuds, rose petals, lavender, well, anything really. And then we've got the glitters. So these are all eco-friendly. They're massive packets as well, again from Amazon. So yeah, so eco-friendly, they are biodegradable. And yeah, look at the size of those. They're such good value for money. Got them in different colours. So we've got a nice pinky peachy one here, and they're like holographic as well, which is really nice. Yeah, so it needs to be cosmetic glitter or biodegradable glitter for us to be able to use it in the wax melts. Next thing, so once they've set, you need to leave them a good few hours. You don't want to be demoulding them before they are set, like I've done in the past and regretted, because I was just dying to see what they were looking like. But yeah, definitely leave them a good, I'd say 3 or 4 hours at least to set. So once they're set, you're going to need to, if you wanted to sell them, you need to package them up. So what I tend to use is the glassine bags, because they are biodegradable, but also they don't absorb the scent as well from the wax melt, so they keep it nice and strong. I know a lot of people use the cellophane bags. I used to use those all the time. They're really good at keeping the scent in. However, they're not as eco-friendly, obviously, because they're made of plastic. Quite a lot of people as well, they make them in the clamshells, which they look really professional. Obviously, if you buy them in the shop, you tend to get them in a clamshell, so the plastic packaging, the hard plastic packaging. The only thing about those is I don't know, I just think that I can just imagine all that plastic building up, and I don't know, to me it's not particularly eco-friendly, and I'd hate to think that I was putting that much plastic back out there. I know a lot of them are recyclable, but for me, I know they don't look as good, but yeah, less plastic. I'm shipping less plastic out basically. I do have some of the clamshells, and I do tend to use them as moulds, so I can reuse them, and then I can take them out the clamshell and then put them in my packaging, and then I can reuse the clamshells. What I would say though is, if you are using them for that, you just need to make sure that you cool the wax down enough before pouring. If you pour the wax too hot, I think it's over, is it 55 degrees or something like that, it can cause the packaging to sort of melt a little bit, and the wax melts will change shape. So just be careful of that if you are going to be using the clamshells. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, you need a scale. So you've got a scale to measure your fragrance oil and your wax. You also need, so if you are melting your wax in like one of the cauldrons or the buffalo soup makers or anything, you are going to still need a jug so that you can obviously pour the wax in, mix your fragrance oil in, etc. Something to mix it with as well. Oh, I nearly forgot. So I tend to use this thermometer to mix. So you need to give your fragrance oil a really good mix. But yeah, you need a thermometer. So just a milk thermometer. You can just pick them up in any of the supermarkets really, or on Amazon. Or, you know, the ones that you use to take your temperature. The infrared ones, I think they're infrared. You can use those as well. So you might want to use one of those just to make it a little bit less messy. I can't think, is there anything else that I have not mentioned? I don't think so. I'll list all of the equipment and recommended websites, things like that, below. If you've got any questions for me, just comment in the comments below. I would really appreciate it if you enjoyed this video, found it informative, then please give it a like and subscribe, because this is my very first video, so I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. But yeah, let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover. Obviously I'll do some videos where I'm actually making the wax melts. I do other things as well, like bath salts, bath milks, soaps, as it says in the name. So I probably will do some videos making those as well. But at the minute, with my business, I am sort of focusing a little bit more on the wax melts just because it was getting too much. But yeah, I will put other stuff out there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon.